Now the next part is the dangers of the sugar, of consuming sugar. We want to have sugar, but we have to be very, very careful of what it means to take sugar. Because if we are aware that sugar can cause such problem, we will limit our consumption. We will be aware, right? Even when we have the opportunity to have lots of sugar, we will be, oh my God, this is going to cause these problems for my body. And then finally, you will live a better and healthy life. So the first thing that I want to discuss is what happens when sugarcane is refined. When sugarcane is refined, if you take pure sugarcane, raw sugarcane, and you squeeze juice out of sugarcane, you have lots of vitamins. You have minerals, which are very good for your body. It's really nice to have sugarcane juice. Enzymes, healthy nutrients, and so on. All of that is gone after the refining process. And the other thing is, sugar contains something called as chromium. This is an element which is really important in order to maintain blood sugar level. In our body, sugar level in our blood should be maintained really well. Otherwise, you have problems like diabetes, we gain a lot of weight and so on, all these problems. But what regulates that? Chromium regulates that in some sense. Chromium actually plays an important role in the regulation of or maintaining blood sugar level. That has been found in the research. But after the process of refining, what happens? This chromium is removed. So chromium is not present here in the sugar. So what happens? Body loses ability to figure out the amount of sugar in the blood. So our body does not know that how much sugar is there in the blood. So it does not know what to do. Right? Our body works on certain signals, biosignals, metabolic signals. And if that signal itself is wrong, what will happen? Our body will go through trouble. Like for example, cancer, right? Our body knows where exactly the cells should multiply, right? If you have a wound here, if you cut, after a few days what happens? It will heal itself. How does that happen? Because our body knows what is to be done at exactly what place. So it multiplies more and more cells there. But what happens if it starts to multiply here? I will have extra amount of muscle, extra amount of cells, and that is called as cancer. Similarly, the body does not recognize because chromium is missing how much sugar should be there. So it creates a lot of trouble. And the thing is, the more you have sugar, it has high calories, but it does not fill your stomach. Do you have an experience when you eat sugar, when you eat something that is sugary, you don't feel hunger, but your stomach is empty still? Do you know this? Which is not good, right? This is not good. Your stomach does not contain anything. You have no food in your body, but still you feel, completely filled. That is another reason for various different diseases and problems in our body. The other thing is, it promotes something called as glycation. It promotes something called as glycation. What? Sugar promotes glycation. It's terrible. What is glycation? Once you have sugar in your body, where does this one go? It goes to our blood. It is directly sucked into the blood. You have sugar and sugar gets into the bloodstream. It rushes into the blood because our intestine, it immediately absorbs sugar. It does not take too much time actually. For food it takes a lot of time, other foods. But sugar is easy to digest. Easy to digest in the sense it gets sucked into the bloodstream. And then what happens is sugar has a very, it has affinity. It likes to combine with protein and fat. Sugar likes to combine with protein and fat molecules that our body receives from other food. And then once the protein and fat molecules are combined with sugar, it produces toxic compounds, which is not good for our body, which is harmful, toxic, like gas is toxic, right? Toxic means something that creates harmful, something that is harmful for our body, poisonous, right? It's a poison. It produces something called as advanced glycation end products, called as AGEs. Just remember AGEs. And this AGE is terrible. The products of AGEs are horrible. These products throw the aging process into faster. We are aging every day, right? We are becoming old and old every day, right? Our cells are becoming more and more old every day, right? So aging process is already there. Because of AGEs, what happens? The cells, they tend to die faster. The healing capacity of our body decreases. We become more and more open to diseases, right? We become more and more vulnerable to diseases. And this process of becoming more and more old is irreversible. We cannot become young once we get old, especially because of AGEs. So if you want to be healthy, if you want to look young, consume less sugar. Who wants to look young? Do you want to look old? Huh? At the age of 30, you want to look like uncle? Young, you want to look like a boy, isn't it?
Yes.
Young boy. So you have to consume less sugar. Weight gain and obesity, that's another problem. Sugar is stored in liver. Sugar is generally, when there is extra amount of sugar in our body, where does it get stored? Liver. It goes into liver and gets stored there. But if you add more and more to that, more and more sugar to your body, liver cannot store everything. So what happens? When liver is completely saturated, what happens? It sends the glucose back into the blood as fat. As fat, it goes into as fat cells, let's say, in the form of fat cell. Where does it go?
Belly.
Now it has to find a place to rest. And where does it rest peacefully?
Belly.
Here or here. I don't know where. Everywhere. Huh? And then that's the obesity. What is that?
Obesity.
So if you want to look fit, consume less sugar. Especially processed sugar. And sugar brings down immune system. What is an immune system? Immune system is the system that is present in our body which fights against the foreign bacteria, harmful substances, right? Our body is constantly fighting and keeping our body safe. That is the immune system. Do we want our immune system to be strong or do we want it to be weak? Strong, right? The armies in our body should be very strong so that they can fight with strong enemies outside. So therefore, what happens is it decreases the process called as phagocytic process. What is it called as? Phagocytic process. Phagocytic process is that our white blood cells, they fight against the diseases, okay, against the external or strange bacteria or strange substances outside. Through the process called phagocytosis. They eat. When there is a bacteria, harmful bacteria from outside, when it enters our body, the white blood cell in our body, it actually eats it up. It pulls itself into the cell and it destroys within the white blood cell, right? It destroys within the white blood. For example, if this is a cell, if there is a harmful bacteria, what happens? This one, it eats it up and brings it down into itself, and then this one is broken down into components, right? So that's how our body is constantly protecting ourselves from foreign bacteria. And sugar can cause, it can weaken our immune system.
Immune system.
And sugar, the other thing about sugar is it makes us addictive. We want to have more and more. It is highly addictive because it releases, when we have sugar, it releases something called as dopamine. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter. It is released in the brain. When we have sugar, we feel happy, right? This is because of chemical substance called as dopamine. Who doesn't want to be happy? Everybody wants to be happy. So have more and more of sugar. Our brain says, oh, hey, have some sugar, I want to be happy. Have some sugar, I want to be happy. I want to release dopamine. Because dopamine gives me happiness, joy. So therefore, our craving increases. The craving for sugar increases because dopamine affects the reward center. Our brain also likes to have rewards, right?
Yes.
For example, when you do hard work and then if you relax, how do you feel? You feel happy. You feel as if you've been rewarded. You have been given gift. When you are working the whole day and you take 1 hour of rest. That's a reward, right?
Yeah.
But if you rest for the whole day, do you feel that happiness? No. So similarly, this dopamine also acts as a reward chemical, right? So that's the reason. So these are all the different reasons why sugar is a deadly thing. And it's a slow poison. We don't realize it right now, but if we have it for a long period of time, what will happen? Slowly all the effects will actually appear as we age.